All right, great evening. I'm gonna go ahead and get started so I can respect everyone's time. Thank y'all for joining me here. We're not gonna be long. I only need but a few minutes to let you know how it is that Inspector Flow can help you, and then I want to make sure I answer all of your questions so that you're clear, and then I'll let you go. So I see a couple states in the chat. If you haven't already, let me know where you're checking in from. It's important that I have an idea because you may or may not know that the requirements are different in each state. So I see we got Alabama, we've got Illinois, we've got North Carolina, we've got Maryland, Ohio. Okay, good, 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 good. All right, so here's a quick roadmap of where we're going um this evening. So I just want to make sure again that I cover all of the pertinent information. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what Inspector Flow is, the history, where did it come from, give you some information on myself, why I'm qualified to teach it, what's included as far as the coursework, obviously the tuition, what you can expect as a student. I'm gonna go through all of that. So during this session, I ask that you take some notes. If you're serious about this, this is again going to be pertinent information for you. So I ask that you take some notes and save your questions to the end. I'm going to answer every question before I leave this evening. So take some notes, write the questions down, and I have us time at the evening. Let me move this over at the end so that I can answer all of those questions. Give me a one in the chat if that sounds cool with you. All right, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So this is actually a video of our last Inspector Flow graduation. This was IF 2 and IF 3 graduating together down in Atlanta. We started in February of 2021, and our first graduating class had 29 students, and so far we've graduated over 80 people from 18 different states. Our youngest was 21. Our most seasoned was 60. We have men, women, white, black. We have Spanish speaking inspectors. You name it, we have it. And that's something that I'm very proud of because that's one of the issues that I feel is wrong with the home inspection industry, a lack of diversity, right? So Inspector Flow, the whole point of it, it was created to offer good quality education to everybody. Like everybody should have access to good quality education. And what I mean by good quality education is anybody can learn how to be an inspector. You just need to be taught, right? Even if you don't come from a background in the trades or construction, you can still learn how to do this, right? And so at Inspector Flow, I'm the lead instructor. I teach all of our Sunday classes. I'm internationally certified. I am ICC B1 and B2 certified. So that means that I am a certified residential and commercial inspector. I passed the NHIE or the National Home Inspector exam twice. And I'm an investor. That's what technically my day job is. I'm a real estate investor. So for the last 10 plus years, I've been buying, selling, renting, and rehabbing hundreds of houses throughout the Cleveland area. And so that is why, again, that's what makes me qualified to actually have a home inspector school. As I said, we've accomplished a lot in our first 2 years, and I'm looking forward to accomplishing more, to reaching more students. The whole goal, again, and crux of Inspector Flow is to provide quality, to provide access to quality education for what I call non-traditional home inspectors, right? Those of us who didn't come from a background in construction and or the trades, okay? So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about actually what Inspector Flow is and what we have to offer you. So to be clear, we are a private school, Okay, we are not affiliated in any way with any of the different states and their requirements. As I said, the goal of Inspector Flow is to provide you with the education you need to know how to inspect and actually make a career out of it. So let me explain a little bit about how this works. Even though we are not currently affiliated with any of the state licensure boards, we can still help you meet your state requirements. And for many of your states, this is how that works. For many of your states, if you are in a regulated state, you will have, your state will say you have to complete X amount of hours. For example, I saw Maryland in the chat. The required amount of hours in Maryland is 72, right? And they will say you have to go to one of these, few schools. There's really 3 or 4 that are like the top ones that everybody goes to, but you have to go to one of these schools and you have to get these amount of hours, right? So how we do that is InterNACHI, if you could be familiarize yourself with them. But typically, if you're in a regulated state, they satisfy your state regulated hours. So how we do it is that you complete Inspector Flow and those other requirements simultaneously, because what has happened too often with students, and if you see, a lot of my social media, you see me talking about how people sign up for these different schools and they click through, but then they don't really know how to actually inspect. A lot of these schools are what we call certificate mills. It's very easy to click through. You can take the test 1,000,001 times until you pass, but actually knowing how to inspect, actually being able to pass the test to get the license in your state, and then knowing how to run a bit, a lot of people come up really short in that way. Okay. So that's how we accomplish assisting you with fulfilling those state required goals. So whatever we have states in, we have students in Texas, which is the most heavily regulated state. We have states in Illinois, which are students in Illinois, which is a regulated state. So all of our students are still able to satisfy those state mandated hours. Give me a 1 in the chat if that's clear. Okay, good. Let's talk about some of the objectives, or the 3 main objectives for you as an Inspector Flow student. And this should be, even if you don't come to Inspector Flow, this is what you should look for in a good school. Number 1, home inspection foundations. So there are 10 major systems of each home. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. Each home has these 10 major systems: roof, exterior, foundation, plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, interior, insulation and ventilation, fireplace, and chimney. Those are your 10, right? You need to know those inside and out. So you need to know those 10 systems and the corresponding components, right? This is the meat and potatoes of your career as a home inspector. All of these systems and components, how they work, the materials that you use, the defects. Again, this is where most students go wrong. Just watching videos is not going to be enough for you to learn all of that information, especially if you are, as I stated, a non-traditional home inspector, meaning this will be your first time learning in it. That's one of the points where here at Inspect, we specialize in that. 80% of our students are, again, these non-traditional inspectors. They have no background in construction. They have no clue how plumbing or electrical. We're literally starting at point A. Okay, so keep that in mind. Even again, if you don't choose to come to Inspector Flow, your whatever school you go to needs to have a very clear and solid plan, which I'm going to show you mine here in a second, on teaching you, helping you to master the foundations of home inspecting. Without this, you won't be able to make money as an inspector. Okay. Number 2, home inspection report writing, right? So along with our inspection, we also include a report. So the service that we provide is the home inspection. Our product is the actual home inspection report. So you are observing and reporting on defects in a home, right? So you need to know, because this is your product, you need to know how to create a quality report that you're going to be able to deliver very quickly to your client, okay? And then third, and maybe most important, we focus on prepping you and preparing you to pass the NHIE, or the home inspector exam. 40% of our students who live in those regulated states where the test is required have passed. I've passed twice. During our session, I'm intentional about simulating the testing environment because the test is a 200 question test and you have 2 hours to complete it. So not only do you need to be able to recall the answers, you need to be able to recall them quickly. So we go through a lot of practice questions so that you can get familiar with how the test is worded. We go over test taking strategies in order to help you with test anxiety, different things like that to help you, again, be in the best position to pass this test. 55% of the people who take this test fail the first time, okay? And it ain't no big deal if you fail, like it don't matter. But this is not one of those tests where you're gonna just, guess and click through and pass. This test is a beast, right? And so those are our three main goals. And again, whether or not you come to inspector floor or not, this is what you need to look for from any school. They should be able to teach you the foundations. I mean, inside and out. You should be able to describe the construction of a house from top to bottom, inside and out. Number two, once you complete school, you should know exactly how to write a good quality home inspection report. Your defect comments, your pictures, your all of that kind of stuff should be on point. And then number three, they should have provided you the textbooks. This is a big one. Y'all keep going to these schools where they don't even give you the textbooks. Without the textbooks, you can't prepare for the NHIE. So they should give you the textbooks, and there should be some sort of practice questions, practice quizzes to help you be most prepared to take the NHIE. Give me a 1 in the chat if you are clear on that. This is super important because, again, I understand that everybody won't come to Inspector Flow, but you need to know this in order to choose the right school. I have tons of videos all over my social media about how people find out about this and then they choose the cheapest school that's a few $100s. It doesn't work like that, folks, okay? So make sure you're clear on that, all right? All right, so now that we have that out the way, let's talk about what is included with Inspector Flow and what you can inspect. You see what I did there? What you can expect. So your enrollment in IF6, which is our next session that's coming up starting in February, includes 16 weeks of virtual instructor-led classes. And what that means is that every Sunday at 7:00 p.m., we're going to be just like this on our Zoom. And we're going to be in a class where I will be actually instructing you, teaching you those major systems. We'll have a presentation just similar to how you're looking at this right here, right now. And again, that is a key difference. That is something that we offer that most schools don't. Videos are cool, but you will learn this information better and quicker if you are in an environment where there's an actual live instructor who you can ask questions and make sure that you have clarity, okay? It also includes homework assignments and, again, practice tests and quizzes. Every week we have a homework assignment to make sure that you're actually understanding the information so that I can see how you're doing with your report writing, with your mock inspections, basically to verify that nobody is getting left behind, okay? We also have weekly study sessions. Your classes on Sunday are mandatory, they're required. Your weekly study sessions are not mandatory, but they are heavily encouraged because on Fridays, we go over the homework, we review, answer any questions. Sometimes we play games. Sometimes I'm live at a home inspection. So Fridays are used, again, to basically reinforce the information because we only have 1 week for each main system. So Sundays classes are typically 90 minutes to 2 hours. And then our study sessions on Friday is just 1 hour of power, okay? Also included as a student in Inspector Flow is the digital textbook. So I provide you, remember the textbooks I was just talking about that you need to have? I provide you with both of those textbooks. So the textbook set, the digital version that you can open up on your phone, your iPad, or your computer. It also comes with a audio book, so it will read it to you. If you are a physical textbook type of person, that's fine. You are able to purchase a physical textbook set if you want to, but I will for sure be providing the digital textbook set, and that's what we will use to help you prepare for the NHIE because there's no other information. Not if you go to a different school and they have their own home inspection book, which is what a lot of them do, that's not the information that's going to be on the test that you have to take in order to get your license. That information is only found in the NHIE textbooks. I want to, again, make that clear. okay? We also have our own private Facebook group. So all of the alumni, everybody that's gone to and graduated from Inspector Flow has an opportunity to be in our private Facebook group where we ask questions. Again, sometimes we have private trainings. And we have people from all over the country. So it's really cool to hear what's going on with different housing things in people's different states. And you just have a network, a community of people who look like you, who are all moving in the same direction. And once you complete Inspector Flow and you become an alumni, we also have monthly trainings. So every month the alumni get together. We typically are having trainings on best business practices, marketing, et cetera, things like that. Okay, so that's one of the best things about Inspector Flow, because another point where the industry is struggling is there's no camaraderie, right? Most home inspectors are old white dudes, and they're not always welcoming of anybody who is not an old white dude, right? And to truly be a professional at something, you need a network of colleagues, right? You can bounce things off. You can ask questions. What are you doing marketing? How are you getting, you need that. That's important that we stick together and support each other. And that's consistently one of the things that I hear from our alumni that is most helpful. Because it's one thing when you're here in the class setting, when you get out there in the field, you out there by yourself. If you choose to be an independent company, you're going to be out there, by yourself. So that community aspect is very, very helpful. Okay. So those are our objectives and kind of like how everything shakes out. Our class structure and requirements, right? So IF6 is, again, our 6-session. Once you enroll, this is how we identify cohorts. So IF1 is obviously our first one. So I just finished IF5. We're at IF6. Make sure you write this down. First day of class for IF6 is February 25th. Everybody type in the chat. My first day of class is February 25th. My first day of class is February 25th, okay? And our session is 16 weeks, so you'll be finished May 12th. Again, remember, as I stated, hold up, y'all. This is messed up. As I stated, the classes on Sunday are mandatory. 2 or more absences is ground for expulsion. I'll put you out of my school because this shit is serious. I'm not wasting my time. If I'm going to be there, you're going to be there. You need to show up. That's why I keep telling people Inspector Flow is not a course. This is not something that you're just going to cut on at your leisure and watch the videos and blow through it. You're going to be in class with me every Sunday. Okay. Classes, again, are typically 2 hours via Zoom. You'll get a link every week. You'll get, all of the information, everything that you need to let you know that you must be available via camera and mic throughout the entire class. So none of this logging on while you somewhere else, while you at work, while you driving. No, I need to see you. And if I ask you a question, or if you need to ask me a question, you need to be available via mic in a noise controlled environment where you can really focus and pay attention throughout the entire duration of the class. You must be on time. Class starts promptly at 7:00 p.m. Eastern. Okay. At 7:03, I lock my class. So if you notice today, I opened up the room was opened at 6:55, 7:00. I say something, I give you 7:03, 3 minutes for grace to get your links together and all of that. But at 7:03, I lock the class and I start teaching. I can't be letting people in and out while I'm trying to teach the class, okay? All of this is designed, this is like a boot camp. All of this is designed to get you ready to actually be an inspector. As inspectors, we get paid to pay attention. You got to be on time. If you have an inspection at 12, you can't show up at 12:15. You really need to be there at 11:30, okay? So all of this is structured to get you into that mindset, all right? Classes are recorded. You will have access to the class. So our classes on Sunday, you typically have access to the replay by Monday at 12:00. Also on Sunday, homework is assigned Sunday at the end of class, and homework is due that Wednesday by 11:59. I don't accept late homework. Again, you either have it in on time or I just don't count it. So you'll need to allot about 2 hours for the homework. This is not, again, some little play, some easy, just busy work type of situation. We're really going to be looking, again, to verify to yourself and also to me that you're understanding the material and you know what you're talking about. So if you think you're going to start this, Wednesday morning and have it done, you're probably not. Again, 2 or more missed homework assignments is ground for dismissal. So I need you there and I need you participating. That is how I ensure that at the end of this 16 weeks, I know that you have this information down, because that's our goal, right? We have that shared goal of, after I get out of your class, I need to know what I'm doing, right? I agree to that. My caveat is you got to show up and you got to participate. Okay. And again, our study sessions are on Friday at 7 p.m. Not mandatory, but highly, highly recommended. Let's talk. Oh man, why didn't I show up? Let's talk about our that's no good. Let's talk a little bit about our coursework. We have 5 main subjects. Write this down if it'll show up. 5 main subjects with corresponding classes. So in total, you'll have over 20 classes under our 5 main subjects. The first is, as I mentioned earlier, the foundations of home inspection. So those are those 10 different systems. Each week, we have one of those different systems, okay? So we start off with roofing on not February 25th, we ease into things. So your first class is kind of easy. Second class, we'll start with roofing. Third class, exterior, and we'll move on through just like that. Plumbing has 2 classes, and so does electrical, has 2 classes. The second one is home inspection report writing. Sorry, it's not showing up on here, but it should be. So home inspection report writing, again, there are classes under that to show you how to actually write your report, how to identify and report on defects, your report format, your report writing equipment. We cover all of that. The third one here, I'm so upset that this is not showing up. The third one here is NHIE test prep. So that is, again, where we go through our test questions, your practice quizzes, test taking strategies to make sure that you're prepared for that. We also have home inspector business mastery. Up under there, you have a business setup class, market research, business plan, business operations. So we cover, again, how to set up your business, from actually setting up your LLC, your EIN, your business bank account, your logo, your website. How are you going to market, a marketing plan and a marketing budget, your insurance information, your bookkeeping, taxes, all of that kind of stuff is covered in our business mastery module. And then finally, marketing. So marketing 101 for home inspectors, how you can use social media marketing, print marketing, relationship marketing. We cover all of that in that module. So I'm so sorry that didn't show up, but those are our 5 main subject areas. And again, under those subject areas, we have multiple classes. So you end up with somewhere close to like 30 classes. And just so you're clear, the foundations, the home inspection report writing, and the NHIE are what we cover during your 16 weeks of our live virtual classes. And then you have your business mastery classes and your marketing classes available on demand for you. So you can watch those at any time. On the first day of class, on the second week of class, whenever you're ready for that, you can start to watch those business class. So in class, we're going to focus on the technical information so that, again, you know how to inspect and how to write your report. And then on the back end, we'll follow up with all the business stuff, okay? Everything shakes out here, and here's an example of your class syllabus. As I said, each week we cover a different system in class. As you can see, homework is due the following Wednesday by 11:59, and then we have the study session for that week on Fridays at 7:00 p.m. So once we complete, at the completion of Inspector Flow, you have an opportunity to participate in our graduation weekend, which is held here in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm going to give you your graduation info for IF6. So make sure you write this down, okay? Your graduation, oops, let me put this right here. Your graduation will be Friday, June 21st and June 22nd. So everybody type in the chat, I graduate June 21st and 22nd. I graduate June 21st and 22nd. Let me see it in the chat. Okay. The weekend starts on Friday with mock inspections. So all day Friday, we'll be outside and home. So here's an example of that. Here's an example of that. These are students outside. I take you inside of real homes and we practice everything that we've learned over the 16 weeks. You get a chance to practice using your tools. You get a chance to practice using your report writing software while you're out in the field, basically kind of like a dress rehearsal to make sure you have it all down. So that's what we do all day. Friday evening, we typically have a social event, a dinner, some sort of meet and greet to kind of just hang out, get to know each other a little bit better. And then on Saturday morning, we have a business setup lab. So that is to make sure that on the business side of things that you are ready to start booking inspections. So is your website ready? Is your booking calendar ready? Your phone number, all of that kind of stuff. So by the time that you leave me, you will, again, you'll know how to inspect, you'll have your report together, and you'll also be ready on the business side of things to start taking paid inspections. Saturday afternoon, we complete with the graduation and the celebration. Everybody who successfully completes inspector flow will receive a certificate of completion. Typically, you can have like a little celebration cake and whatnot to celebrate your accomplishment. How does that sound? Let me know in the chat. Did I cover all my bases or what? It sounds lit. It is lit if I do say so myself. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm late. Have we done? No, we haven't, Chris. You good? I'm getting to the Q&A part. All right. So now we talked about what inspector flow is, what's included, the coursework and requirements. Now let's talk about what everybody is wondering, right? How much does this cost? Y'all wondering that? Y'all holding on to y'all seats trying to figure out? All right, so the tuition for inspector flow is as follows. There's two options. So option one is a paid in full option. That amount is $2,500. Your paid in full option includes all of your Sunday classes, all of your coursework, all of your homework quizzes, all of your Friday study sessions, your digital textbooks, your Facebook group. It includes all of that. So everything that I just talked about that is inspector flow and that comes your graduation, all of that is included. As a bonus, when you pay in full, you get a merch pack, which is a inspector flow hat similar to this, and also a tee. And then we also do a one-on-one session with you before we start. I do a one-on-one session with you before we start class. Option number two is the payment plan option. You have the total for that one is $3,000. There are 6 payments of $500. So $500 a month for 6 consecutive months. Your first payment is due at the time you enroll. So say if you enroll today is the 17th, your next payment will be February 17th, March 17th, so on, and so forth. Okay. January 31st is the last day to start your payment plan for $500. January 31st is the last day, okay? After you enroll, there are also scholarship opportunities. We've been blessed. A couple businesses, a couple other home inspectors have provided some scholarships for students. So after you enroll, there's an opportunity for you to apply for scholarships. No missed or late payments, okay? Missed or late payments could result in expulsion and no refund. I do not have time, nor do I have the patience to pay anybody to be chasing people down about their tuition, okay? This is a professional class for professional people pursuing a professional license, okay? At the end of this, you're gonna be making $500 a pop. I'm not gonna be chasing you for your payment, okay? You're not gonna have to chase me to do what I said I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show up every Sunday and Friday and give you everything that I got, and I expect no less from you as it relates to your coursework and handling your business as it relates to tuition. Give me a 1 in the chat if that's clear. Okay. And we're winding down. So I just want to show you what your roadmap looks like, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do is enroll ASAP. Our class will start February 25th. We will go for 16 weeks. You will complete your class May 12th. At that point, you will take your exam, okay? You'll take your exam. So remember, you're finishing in May 12th, in May, you're going to take your exam. So the idea is that by the time you have your graduation, you will have already passed your test. So at graduation, we'll be working again on making sure you're fine-tuned in the field and setting up basically how you're going to get paid. Okay. So that's what we do at our graduation and our field training. After that, after I let you go back home, you're going to start marketing and start taking paid inspections. And from there, you'll be a part of our alumni community and you'll have access again to come to those monthly trainings. Also, alumni, I have office hours. So I don't do consult calls for anybody. You may have noticed I don't talk to anybody one-on-one about this home inspector piece because I keep my office hours reserved for inspector flow students. So that is how you get ongoing support and coaching even after you have graduated. So that is what your path or your track will look like after you enroll, okay? Go ahead and start to drop your questions in the chat and I will get to them. If you're ready to enroll, you can scan the QR code. If you're using the payment plan, it's only $500 to lock in your spot. Remember, we got what, about 14 more days, 2 more weeks until that enrollment option closes. Go ahead and drop questions. Anything you can think of, please ask. Excuse me. When is the paid in full due? The paid in full, why don't I have that date on here? I want to say it's February 12th. I think it's February 12th or when the class fills up. Sorry, I should have had that date on there. Okay, what else? Who else has questions? Making good time here. Yes, yes. So I'm keeping the class small. We're only taking 12 students, and I think we have half of that now. But we got about 6 spots left. My first classes, I have 1, 2, and 3 were larger classes, 20 plus students. My last few classes, 4 and 5, have been smaller, and I think that people perform better in the smaller classes. So 12 students max. So we got about 6 spots left. Do you accept grad students who already have their license? Yes, absolutely. I actually would love to have you because yeah, I would love to have you because I know you probably weren't properly prepared and you're probably leaving money on the table. Is the NHIE test state specific or it is a national exam? Certain states, Illinois off the top of my head have like state specific portions, but the NHIE actually literally stands for a National Home Inspector exam. I know you mentioned that you have a way to fulfill our state requirements, so I refuse how that if we do the market inspection that. Okay, Mariah, let me know what state. If you have a state specific question, let me know what state you're in so I can speak specifically to it. I recently got my license in Georgia. Is there any way I could get into class for the marketing and finding jobs and what I need to do? Chris, so for starters, there is no license in Georgia. Georgia is a non-regulated state. So I don't know exactly what you mean by license. Maybe you got your NACHI certification, but there's no license for home inspectors in Georgia. And you're more than welcome to enroll. There's no option to just get like the marketing piece. But if you're in Georgia, you probably do you good the whole class. Just saying. I live on the border, like literally 10 minutes from another state where they allow me to use my license in both. Okay. So again, each state is different, just like, for example, Ohio and Michigan. I'm here in Cleveland. We're about 3 hours away from Detroit, Michigan. Michigan is a non-regulated state, so I can inspect there, no problem. I need no license. Well, Ohio is regulated. So when I inspect in Ohio, you have to have a license here. But if you inspect in Michigan, you wouldn't. So it just depends on which states you're talking about, Mariah. The test for the NHIE is $225, and that's the same for everybody. I live in South. Okay, so South Carolina and North Carolina are both regulated, so you would need to carry a license in both states. But the requirements would be similar. So typically, what they do is there are no usually there are no official reciprocity rules. So what they'll do is say you got licensed in South Carolina, you did your hours, you passed the test. Those requirements would be similar in North Carolina. If you could prove that you did it, a lot of times they'll offer you a license, or not make you go through the whole process, but you would have to carry license in both states if you wanted to do that. How often we have new classes and can participate if in another state? So it doesn't matter what state you're in. Again, we have graduates from 18 different states, both regulated and non-regulated. I've had a lot of students. The majority of my students honestly went to other places first because they didn't know what I just explained to you guys. They were thinking, oh, okay, if I go to this state, if I go to this school, they're gonna teach me, I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna go out and do inspections. Well, they found out that they couldn't pass the test and that they didn't really know what they were talking about or what they were doing. So they were kind of stuck. So then they enrolled, and now they're off to the races. So doesn't matter what state you're in, you're good to go. Okay, it's not a license technically, but I got certified through Agro Academy. Would I still pay the tuition even though I don't need the class to pass the test to get certified? Again, Chris, I don't have any separate offerings. So there's no like just marketing class that I offer. Um, and I need a class to pass the test to get certified. Yeah, there's literally no certification down there. So no school would have certified you down in Georgia. But yeah, I don't have a way to split it up. I'm in Ohio. Is it NHI the license, or would I have to take another? The NHI is the test that you have to take to get your license. So yes, you will have to take the NHIE, but not another class. Lydia, I'm so sorry. No, Mariah, keep them coming. Ask everything you want to ask. Absolutely no problem. You mentioned that you are licensed for resident after this course and we test. Can we use our license for both, or is it there? Okay, so that's a good question. So let me speak on this. So there is home inspector and there is building inspector. Home inspectors typically are working for people who are buying homes. When you go to buy a home, 80% of the time, your lender, before they'll give you the money, they're going to require that you have a home inspection, right? To protect their interest, right? And so then that's when they need a home inspector to come out and perform the home inspection, where they're performing a visual inspection on those 10 major systems and giving you a report. That's home inspecting. Okay. You can have your own home inspection company, or you could work up under another home inspection company. Then there's a building inspector or a code inspector who typically works for the local city government in the building and housing department. These inspectors are inspecting properties to determine whether or not they're built or rehabbed to code or not. So those are pass and fail inspections. Either it's pass, yes, it's up to code, or fail, no, it's not up to code. So on the building inspector side of things, that is where your ICC certification comes into play. You are not required to have that on the home inspecting side of things. So to make it all simple for you, when you learn how to do one, you learn how to do the other, and you can get, if you want to be an entrepreneur, typically you go to home inspection route, you pass the NHIE and you can run your own home inspection company. If you want to get you a good government job with a paycheck every 2 weeks and insurance and all that kind of stuff, you will go the building inspector route, and that's where you would get your ICC. And we cover a lot of that in Inspector Flow as well. Let me know if that makes sense or if you have questions. Is there a certain format that has to be followed for a written inspection report? Not necessarily. Some states, if you live in a regulated state, some states have certain templates or certain things that they say you must include, but generally the format is up to you. I use a report writing software, so my format is pretty much so the same every time, which makes it very easy. That's one of the things that we go over in our report writing class, is actually creating a template so that when you're out in the field, I use my iPad a lot, right? And I can create my report right there on the field, in the field, because of my report writing software that has my template loaded into it. So the report looks the same in terms of format every time, but there's not necessarily like a requirement generally. What else? I just spilled water everywhere. Do you recommend working with a company? I do not. I don't necessarily, unless you find the right one. A lot of times these, again, most times you're going to be most companies are owned by older white guys, and a lot of times the environments, in my opinion, and I've dealt with inspection companies in multiple states across the country, and I'm finding the same thing everywhere. Like, they aren't always conducive for new inspectors. And so, I'm just leery. That's why I did this. That's why I created this school, because I'm just like, if somebody has no experience in this and they want to learn and they want to, sending them to these places where people are going to be acting like they can't ask any questions and you're an idiot for wanting to know this and I'm better than you, and not like all of that is just, when somebody is new at something, that's not good for their psyche and for them to actually learn the information. So that is not my first choice. But again, I do know too, I have a student, Jacob, down in Houston, Texas. He's working, he found a great company to work with, and he's doing very well. So what is most important and what is most beautiful about this is that there's so many different routes you could take. I have students who are going the ICC route because they want the job. They want the stability of the check every 2 weeks, and they don't necessarily want the burden of being an entrepreneur right now. And I can't blame them. It's a good job, you get paid well, so you just have to choose the track that works best for you and, your life and your family for where you are right now. Maybe you start with the company, and you just got to make sure you don't sign a 360 deal. That's another thing people try to do. If you come work for me, okay, you got to sign a non-disclosure that says you won't inspect within 50 miles for the next 5 years or something crazy like that. So you do have to watch out for those. But other than that, um, yeah, it's up to you. Is the class tax deductible? No, no. Inspectorflow.com. The inspectorflow.com is the main website. And then if you scan that QR code, you can go to a page that has all of the enrollment info. You can hear some testimonials from our alumni to get a better idea of what you can expect. What else? No more questions? Was this clear? Crystal clear? Straight to the point? Do you have any concerns about being a home inspector? Do you have anybody that you could share this information with? Do you know that by the spring, by busy season again, that you could actually be up and running, taking inspections? You think the tuition, even if you do the payment plan, the tuition in total is $3,000. That ain't number 6 inspections. So that means once you get out into the field, your first 6 inspections go to me, which, I mean, I feel like it's only fair. I did teach you. That's literally 6 inspections. In our marketing class, we talk about the 6-figure home inspector blueprint and how we can get to averaging 10 inspections in our first 3 months. So that's what our goal is, to be doing 10 inspections, averaging to start out 10 inspections, which 10 inspections at, again, $400 to $500 a pop, that's $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And 10 inspections, that's not like on the high end, that's like very low. Just think about it. There are thousands of transactions that are happening right under your nose in your area. And the majority of them are required to have a home inspection. That's the beauty of this. Again, if this was something where you had to convince people to get it, I don't know, people aren't smart enough to have something like this without being forced. But because they're required to get it, it makes it very doable for you to have 10 inspections. That's really only like two or three a month. Do you recommend realtors to get their inspection license? I carried both for a while. I had my realtor and inspection license. I would say that you make more money being an inspector, to be quite honest with you. Um, just think about it. A realtor, everything that you got to go through to get paid as a realtor. When me, I'm paid before I even show up. Before I show up, I've already collected my $500. you know? And if you're inspecting like full time, you would have two slots. I mean, you could legitimately do $1,000 a day if you had two inspections, or at least $1,000 a week, just like that. And for me to not have to be riding people around, showing them a bunch of houses, shuffling a bajillion papers, for me, it made more sense um, to be on the inspection side of things. Just know that if you did carry your realtor license, that you probably wouldn't be able to inspect for anyone in your brokerage if you're in a um regulated state because of the conflict of interest. So yeah, there's that. Does your class get you ready for either or work on your own? Yes, it does, Lydia. Yep. Because I realized that everybody, I mean, you got to be an entrepreneur. It's hard, man. And everybody, like, again, I got 21-year-olds, at 21, they're not necessarily ready to strike out and start their own business, but this is a trade. You know what I mean? You could take this knowledge and go anywhere in the country and get a good job just like that. Do your Googles tonight about inspection opportunities in your area. And you're going to see that a lot of the states, a lot of the cities around you, like say you live in Chicago, those little suburbs around you, most of their building and housing departments are hiring for building inspectors, code inspectors, all of that. So yeah, some people need to go, again, the more stable route, you know what I mean, is to get the job. But this is a modern day trade. We go into drone. The majority of our students get their drone pilot license. They get certified through the FAA to fly a drone. These are real skills that can pay your bills for real. So um it sells itself. It absolutely does. There's no real selling per se. You got to have, obviously, people skills, because you got to build relationships with the realtors. But this is not, you will you please get an inspection, please, come on, I'll do this if you get an inspection. No, this is not that. Typically how it goes is once you start to build relationships with realtors, they're gonna be texting you all type of day and night. Hey, my client just went under the contract, we need the inspection tomorrow, can you do it? And then I'll be like, yeah, I can do it. Give me the address, and I'll be like, it's this much, and then they tell their client, hey, call Anita to get your home inspection. It's going to be this amount. She's going to be there to do it to tomorrow. Then the client reaches out to me. I send them the paperwork, you know, and they pay, sign the agreement. And then that's when I know that I have a booked inspection. That's the other thing. We get paid. It's none of that funny business, well, they ain't pay me. No, I get paid before I even show up. Do you offer software for the inspections? You mean, do I use software in the inspections? Or in our class, I talk about a platform. I don't usually talk about them publicly because they're not paying me. But in our class, I do use a platform, and we do I give you a template, right? So that you can have, again, a template, a way that you're not trying to create a report from scratch type of deal. How long does the typical average inspection take? Typically about 2 to 3 hours, depending upon the size of the home. I get sometimes smaller homes that are, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 square feet that go a little bit quicker, but typically about 2 to 3 hours. Because remember, in a lot of cases, you got to fly a drone to do the roof inspection. You got to walk around the house a bunch of times looking at everything. You're writing your report, you're taking pictures. You got to do that for the outside, and you got to go on the inside and work it out. And then typically, I spend probably about another hour or so at my computer. Before I submit the report to the client, I pull it up on my computer and go through it, make sure that there are no mistakes, add any additional pictures that I want to add, and then I just press a button and submit it to the client. So I would say maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 hours in total between the actual inspection and your report. Yes, Ohio is a regulated state, and yes, you can carry licenses in multiple states. I have a student who's licensed in Wisconsin and Illinois because he had to move. And that's, again, the beautiful thing about it. You ever have to get up and move, once you learn it, you learn it. You know what I mean? You know what you're doing. So you just have to either, if you move to it, let's say if you moved from, I think somebody here was saying the Carolinas. I was just down in South Carolina, as a matter of fact, too. Say you move from South Carolina to Georgia. Well, you would be all to the good because there's no requirements in Georgia. You can start day one type of deal, which is really good. Gives you that flexibility. I will say that in non-regulated states, it has been Missouri is also a if you're in a non-regulated state, you need to sign up for inspector flow, period, because you'll be doing paid inspections by June. Like those are just the facts. Some of the other states, they have, different requirements and stuff like that, and it may take a little bit longer, but if you're in a non-regulated state, there's no doubt about it that you need to enroll, and you will for sure be doing paid inspections by June of this year. Those are big facts, big Draco facts. What else? Come on, ask. Who's my guy in here that's already up and running in Georgia? Oh, I was gonna say that in non-regulated states, a lot of times the inspections and the reports the quality to me is not always there. And that's because, again, you shouldn't be able to just start. Like, you should have to, and you shouldn't be able to just click through some bullshit videos. Like, you should really have to go to school for this. Like this, like, you gotta show up. Few weeks ago, I got my lead license, right? And there was a class and I had to show up. You had to read, you had to, like, in order to get a license. It shouldn't just be easy. Just think about it. It doesn't make sense for somebody to say, I'm gonna teach you this for free or for $5, $6, $7, $8, $1,000 when you're gonna be able to make $500 a pop. It don't work like that. When you going to, again, trade school, the average cost for a trade school is $18,000 nationwide, and that's because, again, once you get done, you're gonna have the skills to like really make money. What else? Have I answered all your questions? When do you feel inspectors are comfortable inspecting? About 20 inspections. 20 paid inspections. Once you get about 20 paid inspections, you have your flow down, meaning the order, because at first it's a little nerve-wracking because you worried about not missing stuff, and you have a tendency to be all over the place and all that kind of stuff. So you get your flow down in terms of your actual inspection. You figured out your workflow in terms of like how people book you for an inspection. You have your timing down, you got your report, kind of like, you settling into everything at about 20 inspections. And from there, it's up. And the other good thing about this is not one of those things where you typically have to always be marketing. Once you lock in with realtors, you locked in pretty much. So realtors, they don't go and when they use a person, they typically are going to use them, and then they'll tell their other realtor friends to use you too. And so you get you 10, 15 realtors who are closing 2 to 3 deals a month, 1 to 2 deals a month, for real. They're going to keep you busy. you know, because a lot of you will be still working while you're doing this, you know, so you won't even really be able to handle more than 10, 15 inspections starting out as you're getting your feet up under you and maybe transitioning out of your job and different things like that. So it's really perfect. How has this trade aided you in assessing properties you are personally invested? Oh, it's been everything, Hicks. That's how I got into this. I became a home inspector because I was using too many of them. And the home inspectors, I didn't feel like they were doing a good job. The reports were piss poor. They were barely looking at anything. And mind you, you know, I'm rehabbing houses. So it's like I'm doing more than y'all are doing. You know what I mean? And so that's what prompted me to even look into it and get into it. And it's been a huge benefit because I ain't bought a home inspection since. I do on my own home inspections. I just posted a video a couple of weeks ago. I bought a probate house and I was able to, you know, I bought the house in 2 days basically because I did my own inspection. I went, saw it, cool, I like it. The next day I went back, did the actual inspection. You know, I can move faster than most people, and I actually know what's going on. Most people, when they buying property, they don't know what the hell is going on. They looking at the paint and the bathroom vanity and all of that. None of that stuff matters. They don't know anything about these 10 major systems. They don't know how they plumbing work, how they electrical works, why the insulation matters. They have no clue, and I do. So whenever I go to look at properties, I'm typically, I have the leverage because I start pointing out things that even the homeowner or the seller don't know. So it has benefited me tremendously. We have students who are investors who they didn't want to be they don't want to have a home inspection company. They are investors, but they just wanted to know how things work, how a home is constructed so that contractors can't take advantage of them, which is brilliant, you know? So good question. What up, Bray? Do you have to shadow another inspector before doing it depends on what state you're in. So each state has different requirements. Some do require you to do mock inspections. What's your experience with crawl spaces? Have you ever come across any hazards? So I'm in Ohio, so we don't have crawl spaces. We have basements. Um, I've been in a couple crawl spaces down in Georgia. They weren't bad. They weren't like the ones that you had to crawl on your belly to get in, although there are some like that. The rule, the in most cases, the rule is that you need to be prepared to go in the crawl space. Now, if it's something that's not safe, then obviously, you know, you wouldn't have to go. But if you live in an area where crawl spaces are prevalent, because there are mechanicals down there, so you need to be able to see it. In terms of have I come across any hazards during my inspections, not really. You know, I've come across a couple animals, some dead, some alive, raccoons, you know, mice, different things like that, both again dead and alive. um Other than that, I haven't really come across any hazards. As I said, you know, I'm an investor, so I've walked thousands of houses. I always have my belly band with my 9mm on me, and you know, I come in peace, but you know. You know what I mean? But no, I haven't really have many issues. Keep in mind the inspections I think people they get it misconstrued. The majority of the inspections that you do on the home inspection side of things are for homes that have been typically freshly rehabbed. But remember, these are retail homes that people are buying. Somebody went to a bank and got financed for 100, 200, $300,000 to buy this house. So these are not like typically like cruddy, dilapidated houses. These are nice houses where you got to wear your shoe covers and everything is staged and really nice. So I haven't had a lot of bad experiences at all. I live in Illinois. I have to do mock inspections. How do I? So we actually got somebody because I got a lot of students. I have a lot of students in Illinois, Maryland, Georgia, and Florida and Cali. So we actually have somebody that we work with to do those 5 ride-alongs, Jacqueline. Um, we got you can look at Next Level Inspections on Instagram. That's Dre Ramsey. He's actually a former football player that went to another school, couldn't pass, came to Inspector Flow. He passed in June. He passed shortly after he graduated in June. He been up and running in Chicago since then. He's now branched down to Atlanta, and he has several Inspector Flow alumni working with him. So see, that's the power of the community. Do you ever get paid more than $500 for an inspection? Absolutely. So the price typically depends on the size of the property. the age of the property and the location. So obviously, I've done $1,000 inspections for 4-unit buildings. I've done I think my most was like 1,500 for a commercial space. I don't do like large commercial industrial build. I don't do those. I do smaller like retail buildings. I've done some houses that end up being 800 because what we didn't get into is ancillary services, right? So there's your general residential inspection, but then there's the option to add on mold sample testing, radon, super scoping, sewer scoping, these ancillary services that increase the bottom line to your inspection. So yeah, it's absolutely feasible to do an inspection that's more than 500. Residential and commercial inspections are literally the same process, literally the same systems. Everything is typically just bigger electrical service, bigger HVAC equipment. Everything else is the same. What do you base what you're going to charge? By the size, by the age, and by where it's at. So here in Cleveland, our housing stock is older, right? We got a lot of houses that, matter of fact, I just did one, excuse me, a few weeks ago that was 107 years old. Well, obviously, there's going to be a hell of a lot more stuff to look at and to write up in that house than a house that the Cleveland Housing Network just built 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So, and that house was huge. It was 2,200 square feet, which is, or 2,500 square feet, which is larger for that area here in Cleveland. This other house is, 1,250. So obviously the older, larger house is going to be more. And that's where the report writing software comes in handy too, because you accept your payment through there and you can set different parameters. Like if the house is over 2,500 square feet, charge an extra $50. If the house is older than, 80 years, charge an extra $50. If the client wants to have a mold sample testing, that's an extra 125. Like you can set all of that up. So that's what you base it on. And then that's how you build to maximize. Galvanized, yeah, most of our stuff either got galvanized or cast iron, and some sections have been updated to PVC. DIY jobs too. What else? We passed our hours, so we got 2 more minutes. Drop your questions. Everybody have all of the information that they need. Whether or not I would love to see you in class come February, but regardless of that, I still want you to have the information that you need to make the best decision for yourself as it relates to getting your education. Don't get bamboozled, this is not a fly by night hustle. This is a real life bona fide real estate trade. You know what I mean? You could retire doing this. You could start the company and you can have a family owned business that you pass on, to your people. Or you could just learn the information and, go retire from it. Like it is so many different ways that you can make good money with this. The investment of time and money that it will take for you to learn it, for what you could generate, the return on investment is crazy. Quick question. A lot of cities have older infrastructure. How do you determine what is the responsibility of the property owner and what is the responsibility? Good question. So on the home inspection side of things, we're not determining that. Um, one example of that is like your electrical service, right? So from the transformer to the service point, that is on the electrical company. From the service point, everything else on there is on you. Like I know that, but in terms of my actual inspection, I'm not having to call that out or assess that or any of that. As a home inspector, I am literally there. I'm basically like the eyes for the buyer, looking at all of the stuff that they really should be looking at, but they don't know anything about. So I'm there to check it. That's what's happening. So the municipality and all of that, we really don't have much, like if I got to a property and the water was turned off, which I always tell people to have your utilities on, but if the water was turned off, then I just can't inspect the plumbing system because I don't have anything to do with the water company, the municipality, who is on. I'm not turning it on. I'm not doing any of that. So yeah, we don't have much to do with that. Okay, who I'm gonna see in class? Who gonna be in class with me come February? What is your least favorite thing to inspect on a home? The electrical panel, just because it's just, it's a pain. I'm in a cruddy basement. There's spider webs everywhere. The screws are halfway stripped. It's just a freaking pain taking it off and then putting it back on and all of that. But I love inspecting. I love I would be doing it anyways. When I buy houses, I'm in and out of houses looking. I love doing that. I don't find anything like work about inspecting. I mean, it's the sweetest thing ever. You paid $150 an hour to go look, take some pictures, write a report. Like it's really sweet. We don't have many that are outside. Ours are typically in the basement. Okay. All right. If all hearts and minds are clear, I'll let y'all go. Thank you for joining me. If the information is not for you, pass it on to somebody else who it could be for. Okay. Hope to see y'all in class come February. Peace.